All righty, we welcome back to the show Brian Hook, former U.S. Special Representative for Iran. Brian, thank you. Welcome. Appreciate you doing this. You know, so the Israelis bombed another meeting, and supposedly an important meeting, with people who were candidates to be the new Ayatollah. Some accounts say that they bombed them before they could even vote. So this is the second one. Now, there may have been a couple of Mossad people in the meeting, and there may have been a couple of CIA people in the meeting, but they can't seem to get out of their way to bring in a new Ayatollah. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to this war effort?
I think Israel is adopting the same strategy against Hamas for the Iranian regime. And it's the same strategy they adopted for Hezbollah. They are clearly eliminating the leadership, the entire leadership structure. There is nothing left of the leadership in Hamas. There is nothing left of the leadership with Hezbollah in Lebanon. And even Assad. Assad is out of Syria. Iranian proxies are out of Syria. And so this is Israel working up to the head of the snake to permanently address this source of enormous bloodshed and violence to not only Israel, but to the United States.
So it's sort of like you're down to the third level. President Trump was actually talking about that today in the Oval Office. And it's sort of hard to see. I mean, does this influence the possibility or the feasibility that the remaining leaders or, you know, the Revolutionary Guard or the military police, whoever they are, Brian, you know better than I do, that they're going to lay down their arms and just surrender and hope for the promised immunity?
I think it's probably too early to tell, but I think that President Trump will be able to accomplish his military objective, our national security objectives, regardless of whoever may or may not come to power in Iran. And those objectives are ending Iran's nuclear program once and for all, addressing Iran's missile program, and its proxy warfare that have killed over 1,000 Americans over many decades. And rather than, you know, enter into some temporary nuclear deal like President Obama did, or ignore the problem, or admire the problem, I think President Trump is doing the right thing here, and he is putting in place a new regional architecture that could create a durable peace and prosperity that lasts for decades. You know,
on that point, it's a great point. One of the results of this can be a new international architecture. I mean, you know, you're an expert on this, I'm not. But, you know, Russia and China they're going to be out of the Middle East. And in particular, China, maybe Russia too, out of the Western Hemisphere, out of South America. And, you know, China gets the short end of the stick. They're going to have to pay market prices for oil, not 20, 30% discount prices. They might think twice or 5 times about Taiwan or Philippines. I mean, it just seems like what Mr. Trump is doing is a global change in everything, Brian Hook.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This isn't just a Middle East story, it's a China story. And President Trump is dramatically weakening China's posture in the Middle East. It was only 5 years ago that President Xi announced to global fanfare a $400 billion investment in Iran. And China underwrote Iran as a 25-year strategic platform in the Middle East. And Trump is now forcing China to reprice their whole position. And Iran has been central to Chinese grand strategy now for many years. They buy 90% of Iran's oil at a very steep discount. They've invested enormous sums of money in Iranian infrastructure. They help fund Iran's proxy warfare. They use the same state surveillance tools. And there is obviously a lot of cooperation around technology transfer. The strikes, the U.S. strikes on Iran are degrading Iran, but they are also degrading a central pillar of China's regional architecture in the Middle East.
I think, you know, you're making, I mean, I just think that's one of the most important points. The whole landscape the world landscape is changing. We have more time, we could talk about Russia. But I mean, Russia won't get its cheap drones anymore. There's no manufacturing that's going to happen after this is all said and done. Russia's going to have trouble selling oil, et cetera, if they aren't already. I mean, I think, Brian, the genius of what President Trump has done is exactly He's changing history. He's changing the whole world's balance of power. What was is not going to be if this Iranian war turns out okay, and I have confidence that it will turn out okay. Give you the last word on that.
Yeah, in the first term, President Trump reordered fundamentally America's relationship with China for the better. And in the second term, he is contesting China's leverage in multiple theaters. President Maduro's last meeting as president was with Chinese diplomats. And he has now denied China its influence in the Western Hemisphere. He is now doing the same thing in the Middle East against China and against Russia, as you mentioned earlier. And so this is a geostrategic operation far beyond just the Middle East and will have very positive benefits for the United States.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, 100%. I hope you come back, Brian Hook. Terrific stuff. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
All righty, folks, coming up more Kudlow right after the break.